Have you ever wondered how a single battle could reveal not only the strength of Israel's weapons, but more importantly, the unshakable courage of a king who put his full trust in God rather than in armies? What if I told you that there was a conflict in which swords and chariots nearly failed, but King Asa's faith achieved a victory so astounding that it became a defining moment of consecration and courage? This is the story of a monarch who, faced with overwhelming odds, made a radical decision. Instead of counting on military might, he proclaimed a national fast, gathered the people in prayer, and declared, "The Lord will fight for us, and we will be spared." 1 Chronicles 14:11. God honored his boldness, shattered the enemy's forces, and enshrined Asa's faith as an enduring example for all generations. Before we dive into the details, type "I trust in the Lord of Asa" in the comments. This simple declaration affirms your commitment to learn how to walk in courageous faith, just as King Asa did, and helps this lesson reach those who desperately need a testimony of divine victory. Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. Every click is a spiritual offering that extends this call to courage far beyond our own circle. The crisis and Asa's decision. In Chronicles 14, we find Judah in crisis. The Ethiopians, Cushites, and Libyans had formed a formidable army and marched against Judah to make war at Geba and Mizpah. 1 Chronicles 14:9. These southern forces boasted seasoned warriors, chariots equipped with iron, everything an ancient army needed to dominate smaller kingdoms. To a young nation still consolidating its reforms, this threat looked insurmountable. King Asa had begun his reign with sweeping religious reforms. He removed idols, deposed corrupt priests, and restored wholehearted worship of Yahweh. Yet now he faced the ultimate test of his reign. The obvious military strategy would have been to forge alliances, bribe potential rivals, or bolster defenses with every resource available. But Asa chose a different path, one of faith over fear. He convened all Judah and Benjamin, the leaders, and the people, and said, "Do not let us be afraid of the army of the Cushites, who are greater in number than we. We have the Lord our God. He will fight for us." 1 Chronicles 14:11. Then Asa proclaimed a nationwide fast, a dramatic gesture of humility and dependence on God. From morning till evening, men, women, and even children gathered in their fortified cities, Netopha, Geba, and Mizpah, beseeching the Lord for deliverance. Asa himself, adorned with royal robes, joined the fast, leading by example. While Judah fasted and prayed, Asa also prepared militarily. He fortified key strongholds, trained his soldiers, and positioned them strategically. This blend of diligent preparation and absolute reliance on Yahweh became his winning formula. When the enemy advanced, they encountered not fear or desperation, but a disciplined, faith-driven force under divine protection. Then, the miraculous happened. Judah routed 10,000 of the Cushites, and the army lay stranded in the hill country, for God had given them into their hands. 1 Chronicles 14:12. The chariots that once glinted menacingly in the sun were abandoned. The ranks of soldiers, once confident, scattered in panic. Chariots, spears, shields, all fell powerless before the Almighty. The outcome proved that when God fights, no weapon formed against us can prosper. Reflect for a moment. In your own battles, whether financial, relational, or spiritual, do you lean first on human resources or on God's promises? Asa's example calls you to a higher standard. Prepare wisely, but trust in God completely. If this first block stirred your heart, type "My help comes from the Lord" in the comments. Hit like and share to let others know that though we must plan and train, our ultimate confidence rests in the God who fights our battles. Married strategy and supernatural support. King Asa's triumph wasn't born of pure chance or mere human ingenuity. It was the seamless fusion of careful preparation and absolute dependence on God. Though he proclaimed, "The Lord will fight for us," Asa did not abandon prudent military measures. Instead, he set an example of responsible stewardship paired with fervent faith. Logistical alliances. Before the open confrontation, Asa established a strategic alliance with Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, Syria. As recorded in 2 Chronicles 16:2-4, Asa sent treasures of silver and gold from the temple and royal palace to secure vital provisions, food, equipment, and allied support. This diplomatic move ensured his army had the necessary supplies, underscoring that trusting God never conflicts with wise resource management. Fortifying the realm, Asa invested heavily in strengthening Judah's defenses. He repaired fortresses in Netopher, Geba, and Migron, reinforced walls, and built reservoirs to supply water during a siege, 1 Chronicles 14:6-7. This robust infrastructure provided both physical security and psychological reassurance to the people, demonstrating that preparing one's battlefield matters deeply. Mobilizing the entire nation far more than a royal decree, Asa's call for a national fast and prayer united the entire population, men, women, and children alike. Every person laid aside daily tasks to participate, creating a groundswell of collective intercession. This mass mobilization sent a powerful message to heaven and to any eavesdropping enemy. Judah was wholly devoted to seeking divine intervention. A leader who lived out his message. Not content to lead from a distance, Asa joined the fast personally and stood among his people. His visible vulnerability, fasting alongside the humblest citizen, ignited courage throughout the ranks. In modern terms, effective leaders don't simply issue bullet points or slide decks. They roll up their sleeves, share in the sacrifices, and exemplify the very faith they preach. Waiting on divine timing. After all preparations, Asa and his people had to sit tight and wait for God's timing. In the silence of that fast day, even seasoned soldiers questioned if deliverance would come, yet they persisted, leaning into the promise that the Lord fights on behalf of those who call upon him. Romans 10:13. That waiting period, though tense, cemented their trust in God's perfect schedule. The modern parallel today, we often face battles, career setbacks, health crises, relational breakdowns, where our tendency is to swing wildly between self-help fixes and wishful prayers. Asa's model tells us to simultaneously plan well and pray hard. Set up your fortresses, budgets, support networks, skill development, while fasting, praying, and seeking the Lord's direct intervention. Implementing Asa's balanced draft. A prayerful plan. Begin any major project or decision with a strategic blueprint. Then dedicate days of intercession before execution. Invest in infrastructure, whether it's upgrading your website, building stronger team processes, or improving your home environment. Prepare the logistical groundwork. Lead from the front. If you call your family or team to prayer, join them in fasting or in the prayer vigil. Your presence fuels collective resolve. Trust the process. Recognize that sometimes God calls us to prepare extensively, yet wait patiently for his move, reaffirming that his methods surpass ours. If you're ready to combine diligent preparation with unwavering faith, comment, "I plan and trust in the Lord." Like and share this block to encourage others that true victory demands both strategy and surrender. Faith. Over formidable armaments when the Cushite and Libyan armies finally clashed. With Judah, they wielded state-of-the-art chariots, expert archers, and massed infantry. Yet at the decisive moment, God demonstrated that faith is stronger than any weapon. Judah's soldiers held their positions behind fortified walls, not out of fear, but in confident expectation of divine intervention. The chariots became cumbersome. Where once ironclad vehicles struck terror, in that critical hour they proved immobile and vulnerable. The abandoned chariots littered the field, a stark reminder that human technology, no matter how advanced, cannot stand against the Almighty's power. Soldiers' feet, overpowered cavalry. The enemy's swift cavalry became a liability in the rugged hills of Judah. Conversely, confident foot soldiers who believed God would deliver them advanced beyond the city gates, chasing the fleeing invaders, echoes of divine sovereignty. As Asa's troops pursued their scattered foes as far as Gerar, 1 Chronicles 14:13-14, by God's design they reversed the expected dynamic. Instead of Judah cowering, they held the high ground of hope. This strategic reversal underscores a vital spiritual principle. When God fights our battles, the easiest path becomes ours. Integrating spiritual warfare in our personal battlefields, be they financial deserts, relational trenches, or spiritual strongholds, Asa's example teaches us that genuine victory arises not from the mightiest tools, but from God's responsive presence. Engage your war rooms, prayer closets, and intercessory teams with the same intensity generals muster before an offensive. Then watch God topple the chariots of anxiety, debt, or fear. Celebrating every milestone as the Judahites returned with plunder. Horses, chariots, garments, they didn't hoard trophies. Instead, they gathered at the temple to offer wholehearted thanks. 1 Chronicles 16:4-6. In your life, cultivate a posture of gratitude for every breakthrough, the pay raise, the healed relationship, the freedom from guilt. Each milestone testifies that faith in action disarms our mightiest adversaries. Practical takeaways. Identify your chariots. List the problem areas where you rely solely on human solutions, bank balances, networking, self-help. Mobilize faith-fueled action. Pair each strategic step with prayer, scripture declaration, or fasting. Document your deliverances. Keep a journal of divine interventions, dates, circumstances, outcomes, to strengthen your faith and encourage others. Offer public thanksgiving. Host gatherings, in person or virtual, where testimonies underscore God's power over every weapon arrayed against us. If you resolve to place faith above formidable armaments, type "faith before arms" in the comments. Like and share to embolden others that true victory flows from divine partnership, not mere human prowess. Lasting peace. Born from divine deliverance, Asa's victory over the Cushites did more than repel an invading force. It ushered in a season of unprecedented peace and stability for Judah. When a leader trusts God wholeheartedly, the resulting calm extends far beyond the battlefield. Economic prosperity. With enemy raids halted, farmers safely tended their vineyards and olive gardens. Trade routes reopened, merchants thrived, and the kingdom's coffers swelled, not by tribute, but by the peace that follows divine favor. Spiritual revival, freedom from external threats, redirected Judah's focus back to God. The people recommitted to temple worship, and Levitical musicians led joy-filled processions, framing their collective breath with psalms and harps. Diplomatic respect. Neighboring states, observing Judah's miraculous deliverance, treated them with newfound caution and respect. Asa's example demonstrates that God's protection not only preserves a nation, but also elevates its influence on the geopolitical stage. Extending peace to personal realms in modern life. When God gives personal victories, be it freedom from addiction, reconciliation in family, or breakthrough at work, do we seize the margin for harvest? Establish healthy rhythms, reinvest time saved into family and community, redirect resources toward causes of compassion and justice, realign schedules to include spiritual practices, Sabbath rest, small group fellowship, mentoring. Sustaining. The spiritual high ground ASA's reign reminds us that initial victories can dull without ongoing vigilance. He fortified Mizpah again, ensuring the walls remained unbreached, Secus Costa 14:6. Likewise, after personal triumphs, we must maintain prayer rhythms, guard against complacency through accountability groups, continually refresh our commitments to spiritual disciplines. Practical steps harvest celebrations, host a peace party for friends and family, sharing testimonies of God's deliverance. Community investment, allocate time and finances to local outreach, food banks, mentoring, rehabilitation programs, ongoing maintenance. Schedule quarterly retreats or fasts to refortify your spiritual defenses. Diplomatic faith, use your testimony to build bridges with skeptics, demonstrating God's power as a living reality. If you aim to translate divine deliverance into enduring peace, comment, "Peace by His power." Like and share to inspire a movement of lasting calm rooted in God's intervention, consecration of courage and kingly example. King Asa's final act in this saga was not merely strategic, it was profoundly symbolic of a heart consecrated to God's sovereignty. After victory, he used temple treasures to maintain and beautify the house of the Lord, declaring, "It is right to give thanks to him, for his faithful love endures forever." 1 Kings 16:34. Sacred stewardship. By pouring temple offerings into God's worship, Asa underscored that every triumph must return to the giver, coronation of faith. His reign became synonymous with courageous trust, and subsequent generations looked back to his example when facing their own crises, urging the entire nation. Asa's humble devotion rallied not just soldiers or officials, but ordinary citizens to adopt a posture of wholehearted trust. Modern-day consecrations, we might not adorn palaces with gold, but we can tithe generously in gratitude for God's breakthroughs. Volunteer time in worship teams, missions, or community service. Mentor younger believers, passing on the legacy of faith. 2. Applying the legacy personal consecration. Dedicate a personal offering of skills or income to a ministry focused on serving the vulnerable. Public testimony. Share your story of God's deliverance on social media, making faith visible in a skeptical world. Legacy building. Start a Bible study that highlights examples of sacrificial faith, preparing the next generation of spiritual leaders. If you choose to consecrate your courage to God today, write, "I honor His faithfulness." Like and share to spark a wave of consecrated living across your network. A challenge to courage, faith, and consecration. The battle that tested Israel's weapons ultimately sanctified the courage of King Asa and affirmed the Lord's unrivaled power. From his strategic alliances and national fast to the miraculous rout of a superior force and the subsequent season of peace, Asa's story teaches us preparation paired with prayer defeats the mightiest adversaries. Demonstrated faith outshines every technological advantage. Victory invites consecration. Offer back what you have received. Sustained trust yields enduring peace and prophetic influence. If you've journeyed with us through this study, declare, "My courage comes from the Lord," in the comments. This public affirmation marks your commitment to apply Asa's principles in your own life. Next steps. Share this video with someone facing a David and Goliath moment. Subscribe for more explorations of biblical leaders whose faith changed history. Organize a fast. Choose a meaningful cause, your workplace, community, or personal breakthrough, and fast together this week. Don't end this video without taking action. Let ASA's example embolden you to stand firm, prepare wisely, and consecrate every victory back to God. Now sit in silent reflection. Let the closing music settle in your spirit and pray, Lord, fight my battles. I trust you fully. Amen.